the actors were living in the house.
Oh,
So
right.
it was like River Phoenix was there, and like
Oh,
Keanu
nice.
Reeves, like they were all there.
And early on in your career, you worked on My Own Private Idaho.
I did.
What was the experience of working on that like? And did you know at the time you're kind of making like a classic film, or you're on set of a classic film?
We knew that we were working on something like really unique. I didn't know that like we were working on a classic film, because it's like every movie you work on, you have no idea like if anybody's going to even go see it. So it's like, you just pray that people are going to be interested in seeing the thing you're working on. So at the time, yeah, I was an assistant, and that was one of my first big movies as an assistant editor. And it was a crazy experience because we lived in Gus Van Sant's house and edited in his basement. So it was like this really nice finished basement. It was like an apartment really, but with kitchen and like, a living, it was, I guess they call it like your in-law apartment or whatever. And it has like a separate door to the house, but that's what we did. And before we moved in, the actors were living in the house.
Oh,
so
right.
It was like River Phoenix was there, and like Keanu Reeves, like they were all there. And it was crazy. I mean, it was a crazy time. But no, we didn't know we were working. We knew we were working on something special because it was just a beautiful, poetic, unusual film. And it was like, it was the beginning of the 90s, and 80s cinema was kind of coming to an end. And the indie film, what do they call it? The new queer cinema, all of these things it was just about to like, it was the forefront of that, So yeah, we were right there at the beginning of the indie film boom. And it was pretty exciting. I mean, when the movie came out, I was very excited just at the response, because it was like, I had never worked on something like that. I just worked on some smaller films and like a Christmas movie and, like a few other things. And then I'm, working with Gus Van Sant, and who I loved Drugstore Cowboy. So that was, it was just great to work with him.
And yeah, how, like you said, you worked with Gus Van Sant. How was that? And what was his editing process like in working with him to edit the film?
Well, I was the assistant editor, but my mentor, Curtis Clayton, who edited that film and also edited Drugstore Cowboy, they have a very funny process where, Curtis will put the film, it's kind of just what I ended up doing later in my career, was I put the film together while they were shooting it, and that's what Curtis did. And then Gus would just come in and they'd work with like all kinds of ideas. Like Gus has so many ideas. So that was the fun part. And just putting like the shots of the clouds or like the barn and like all of those things. It took a while just to get the rhythm and everything going. And then of course in the middle, it's interrupted by this weird Shakespearean set piece. And of course that's the part where everybody's just like, what? Go back to that other movie. It's like, no, this is actually important. This is what inspired him to make this film. So it was fascinating. It was interesting.
I'm just interested there because you said Gus Van Sant had a lot of ideas, and I wonder if, as an editor, that's your favorite type of director to work with, one that's always giving you ideas. Is that the best?
It's the best. It's so much fun because it's like you're just trying stuff, and sometimes things stick and sometimes they don't. And it also encourages you to think like outside of like the box, because I can, in my editing, it's like I follow the script. I'm like looking for the best performance from the actors. And it's always good to have somebody else who, can say, what if we tried, blah, blah, blah. And then it makes you think, oh yeah. And then what if we did this? And it just kind of frees you up, instead of just following the script.
And you mentioned just before that you had a mentor in Curtis Clayton.
Yes.
What was that like to have someone to like have you learn the ropes and things like that?
It was amazing. And he really taught me pretty much everything I know about editing. I was really lucky. And a lot of people coming up now in editing, because we worked on film, and that was like a whole different process. Everything was much slower. It was crafting the movie, you know, it's like if you tried something, you'd have to like literally take it apart and put it back together, you know, and like, well, nope, that piece didn't work, you know, and so you were constantly like trying to fix things. And it really, I feel very lucky to have learned that way on film, because it's just, it's a craft, and it was originally like you were using your hands and not just a mouse and a keyboard. And you would like get these weird calluses on your thumb from like rubbing splices. It's like, you know, and the splicer, you'd sometimes reach over and it would gouge your arm. I have like these weird scars from that too.
I would have never thought.
The film days. Razor blades and all kinds of, you know, chemicals. Yeah, so it was, and having Curtis just kind of be there to kind of guide me, like he would give me scenes to cut and things, and so I try to do that now for my assistants as much as possible. It's not as easy because everything's a rush, everything's, you know, so I try to let them do it during dailies and when we have more time, so that like I can sit there and teach them a few things. And I definitely, like Curtis, like I was either outside his room or inside the room. And so I could hear like everything that was going on. And so I always try to bring my assistants like inside the room, or, you know, at least so that they can hear what's happening.
And I wonder if the impact of having a mentor like Curtis Clayton inspired you to kind of seek out and take more people under your wing as you've become an editor.
I've tried to. I definitely have. Yeah, I've definitely tried to mentor people. It's like I said, when everything became digital, it was a little more difficult because the jobs changed. Like Curtis could give me, you know, a scene that was like 2 boxes of film, and yeah, but like now it's like, well, okay, let's see, you got to use this bin, and like, yeah, and the things they have to do, it's a little bit different, but that's where like mentorship kind of got away, like from people. But I definitely try and like do that with other people. It's really important.
And so what